welcome to Spring Into Action. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I don't know if you know about this series, but every spring I put together a series where I interview people in the market, people in real estate, people who help with real estate agents, just to get their insights and their position on where things are at the moment. I'd really love to get your thoughts on things because, A, you're in Melbourne, you're in a really busy pocket of Melbourne, the eastern suburbs, and there's just been so much change in this market. Where do you see the real estate market at the moment?
Oh, there's been heaps of change, especially post-COVID with our markets. But we are really seeing the market bounce back now, with interest rates that are stabilised. And yesterday's news, or Tuesday's news rather, of the hold of interest rates, that'll continue to regain confidence in the market as well. One of the issues we had in the last 12 months was low stock levels. And low property levels in the marketplace. So the buyers that were actively looking didn't have a lot of choice. That is starting to loosen up now. We've got a 25% increase this month on property levels alone. So there's a lot more property coming to market. And same with buyers. The buyers are coming back out now given spring as well. So I think we'll start to see a more traditional spring. And I think spring will extend into February and March as well, because it has been that backlog of people not coming onto the market.
So you think it might just be a bit of a later spring market?
Yeah, I do. I really do. And we did see that last year where it rained all the way up to Christmas last year and we had a really big February and March. It's a better spring. This spring, there's more properties on the market and there is more buyers around, but I still think that will extend into March.
Yeah, I must admit, on my morning walks around this area, around Doncaster, I have noticed an explosion of signboards. Many of them yours, so well done.
Thank you. We've worked very hard. Yeah, thank you.
So there is definitely people coming back on the market. Was it the interest rates doom and gloom that the mainstream media was putting out, that things were going to become catastrophic? Now it seems that it hasn't happened and people can move on. Was that what they're waiting for?
Yeah, that's correct. Look, it certainly wasn't the doom and gloom that was predicted. In particular, in our areas across the eastern suburbs, it seemed that given that there was low interest rates for such a long time, people did pay their mortgages and had also excess payments in there. So the best way to describe it to you is that we had a discounted interest rate for a period of time, but we're now more at normal levels that we traditionally know of from the past. So people had paid a lot in their mortgages at the time, so they didn't really feel that pinch that was expected in this part of Melbourne. So there wasn't really a great effect, but people did pause just to see what's happening. And that's normal for all consumers. But now they can see the horizon and they can see, okay, well, it looks like there is going to be some cuts possibly next year. So let's get back out there in the marketplace.
And I think it's also important that, don't quote me on this, but looking at markets across the world, interest rates of around 4.5% are actually still among the lowest on the planet.
That's right.
So Australia is still looking okay.
It certainly is. It is still cheap to borrow money, but not from the base that we came from during that COVID times. But we came from a base of zero practically, so there was nowhere else to go. But if we took these interest rates a decade ago, most people would have been locking these rates in for 3 years. But we got used to almost zero.
Tell us about your journey into real estate. How did you find your way into real estate? We're just talking about how you had a different name at school because
that's right.
The Aussie kids couldn't deal with Spiro, so they Aussieified it for you.
They certainly did. They called me Ross and Roscoe, in high school. So, I grew up in the local area. I went to Doncaster Secondary College. So for most of my life, I've been out in this region. And now our office is obviously the 4 locations from Whitehorse, Manningham, Nillumbik and Banyule now. So we spread across the area. But I was originally in hospitality. This is my 20th year. So I celebrated 20 years in real estate this March. And it goes very, very quickly. And I had a hospitality background, so I worked at Crown Casino and had a lot to do with people, whether it was restaurants, gaming, pubs and clubs in my early years, and then just naturally gravitated into real estate because I wanted an industry that would reward certainly for my time, but also an industry that I loved. And again, it's people-based. The property is the byproduct of everything that we do, but you're fundamentally dealing with people. and, diverse people as well. And no different to where I came from in hospitality. I dealt with all walks of life, and I dealt with so many situations as a young guy. So that gave me a good springboard coming into real estate, and started off at this office here, actually. So at the time, Barry Plant was the principal of this office. He owned it.
Barry himself. Yeah,
he's a person. He does exist, and he owned this office. And Barry Plant was started in Manningham, in Templestowe, in '79. So he was a great mentor over the years, and continues to be a good business mentor of mine as well. So it was great to be able to learn from someone that was such a high-profile figure in the Melbourne real estate scene, and then had the opportunity to buy his business when he decided to take more of a corporate role, overseeing the group.
Yeah, that's amazing. And not looking back, expanding.
Yeah, continue to expand. Yeah, so it's a great story. We started with one office here at Doncaster, and as time went on, we moved into the Whitehorse area, which made a lot of sense. So Mitcham and Blackburn and those areas over the freeway. There's a lot of synergies between the two offices. We then expanded out into Nillumbik, into the Eltham region, and again we saw a lot of synergies there because there was a lot of young people that at the time couldn't afford to buy in these areas, started to look on the other side of the river, and started to look at areas like Eltham North, Montmorency. So we're able to service them very easily. So everything made sense. Yeah. And then from there, we've got an Ivanhoe team and setting up an office in Banyule in Ivanhoe as well. And that's going really well also, and attracting some really good team members out there as well. And outside of that, we grew our property management division, as you know, significantly recently with the acquisition of a large company in the local area. Yeah. So we now manage 7,000 rental properties. Wow. In the local area, which is quite significant. And once again, it works hand in hand. So any strategic decisions that we made with the company, they really had to work with the offices and geographical areas, and had to add value in the way we operated, but also add value to our clients. And that was really fundamentally when we make a decision, it has to really work with our footprint.
Yeah. I think what I love most about real estate, particularly as a kid growing up in Melbourne, in the southeastern suburbs, is that the personality of the owner was the agency. And you just mentioned the Barry Plant. Yeah, he's actually a person.
Yes.
And do you see that the world's getting back to that now with the, we're seeing social media, agents have to put themselves out there, they have to build their own brands underneath the umbrella of the bigger company. Is that what we're seeing? We're going to see individuals and personalities owning patches? Is that the future?
Absolutely. The brand within the brand is definitely the way of the future. And if you look at our operation, how we operate, it's my role to ensure that we have all the resources, that we've got a platform that agents can succeed within, provide the training and development of all that infrastructure. But underneath that now, with the use of social media in particular, an agent can create their own personal sub-brand within the overarching brand. And they're the agents that are really getting cut through in the markets and are really attracting good clients and are performing very well, because they are able to identify that area, in particular social media and digital, where they can promote themselves effectively. And the public get to know them through that medium. Yeah, see, when I first started, we only had the local paper. So that was our social media strategy as such back then. And we just had to promote in the local paper. The internet was just starting to come out. Realestate.com and Domain were making traction. But today you can get a lot better cut through, because the audiences you can reach through social media is phenomenal. So you can create a brand that people want to actually use. So a consumer will say, look, we like Barry Plant. They're a really strong operator. They're market leaders in the area. And now who I'm going to choose within Barry Plant. So now consumers and prospective vendors can have a digital interview without us even knowing. So they're scanning the internet and saying, okay, well, he's done a great video. He's a good auctioneer. Love the testimonials that they're getting. And they can start to form a bond, and they haven't even picked up the phone and spoken to the agent. So that's the biggest difference today. And companies, principals and owners of companies have got to ensure they can provide that resource for the agents to take advantage of.
Yeah, is that one of the biggest challenges as a leader? I don't know how many people exactly you've got underneath you here, but I'd say it'd be a significant number. Is there a resistance? Like what I see when I go out to real estate agents is that you have the older guys and girls who are like, I'm just going to stick to my way. Yeah. You got the younger ones who are like, I don't want to do the old way. I only want to do the new way. I personally find that the balance in between is probably the best.
Yeah.
Social media is not a replacement for everything, but it's certainly a conversation enhancer or referral enhancer if you can get yourself out there.
Spot on. And I think the key word there, that it's not a replacer. You still have to make that human connection. You still have to speak to people on the phone. You still have to engage with someone else and another person. But it is an add-on that can significantly fast-track your success and meet more people through the use of social media. I think the biggest hurdle is the how-to. So a lot of agents, they have some great ideas and they want to do it, but they're really pressed for time too because they need to work with their vendors. They've got to get buyers through properties. They've got to conduct auctions. So their day is filled with a lot of dollar productive activities. So if you can streamline that for them and have a process where you can provide them the how-to, then it does make it easier for them to actually go through and do it. So a lot of people would say, or a lot of directors would say, look, just go and use social media, go build your brand, and then leave it to the salesperson to work it out, where you could reverse that and say, hey, here's a system, here's the infrastructure, this is how you do it, and then give them the tools and applications to do it, and you'll get better uptake through the agents.
And even with property managers, I mean, the amount of changes that are going on in regards to that at the moment.
Yeah.
Even the renaming of landlords to property providers. I think that's
correct.
Oh, look, there's so many people who don't even know that, and it's almost confusing for them, but just educating the market on the changes, compliance, availability. Like, it's way beyond availability and weekly rate now, isn't it?
Absolutely. It certainly is. And the fact that it's a medium that can reach a lot of people very quickly, it does help you communicate a lot more effectively as well. We've got 7,000, clients on our landlord side, for example. To reach them all together through social media today is very easy. I've seen a lot of our property managers really take it up, and because of the rental pressure now, where tenants are finding it very difficult to find a rental property, a lot of ours are being leased prior to going to market, and it's all done through the property managers will go up, they'll do an iPhone video, they'll get it to their social database, they'll start to get inquiry, and they'll lease the property. So it has changed. That rawness about a video, no one's looking at it and saying, my goodness, where's the music? And it's not super professional, a big production company where the helicopter's flying into this video. But the rawness of it seems to get a lot more engagement. It is real, and it's effective. And I've seen that also too, Jonathan, with a lot of our international agents that deal in the Asian market, that deal a lot with those buyers coming in from Asia, with the use of WeChat and some of those mediums where, they'll walk through with an iPhone and then put that out to them through the iPhone, do a social media cut of that also, and the property's sold within a week. Yeah. There hasn't been some glamorous photos. There hasn't been a $10,000 video produced, but it's just been content delivered properly and quickly to the right audience.
Well, the beautiful thing now with AI is that you can have an English-only speaking agent walk through a house, and AI will translate it into whatever language you like. It can be Samuel L. Jackson if you want to have that voice. It's pretty incredible.
How exciting is that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
The changes that are happening at the moment in that space. Absolutely.
I think it's changing. I've got two daughters at school, and one of them's choosing their subjects for year 11 and 12. And I said, well, you probably don't need to do a language because your headphones are going to do that for you pretty soon. Yeah. In fact, they're already doing it.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. So sorry, you go.
Yeah, and again, AI coming in, it's not going to replace everything, but it's a great add-on if you get to use the right side of AI into your business. It can make things a lot more efficient again.
Yeah, I think my only warning with AI is you've got to keep it human. You've
Absolutely.
still got to keep that human touch. I think you're a big believer in that.
Absolutely. Paramount.
Tell us about people management. You've got a big business, 4 offices. I'm a big one of countering the narrative in mainstream media. I think they're struggling themselves, and so they pick on industries like real estate because they think real estate turned their back on them many years ago when they stopped using newspapers.
Yeah.
So I think they take a bit of a kicking sometimes in the real estate industry. And one of their things they're saying at the moment is that it's hard to find good people.
Yeah.
Is it true?
It's not. No, it's not. I think if you can provide an infrastructure that is attractive to people coming into real estate, they will find you or they will hear about you. We've had great success in recruiting top talent. We've got some of the best agents in the country working out of this group. And with property managers coming into the business as well, providing career path for them from a junior cadet right through to senior leadership. So I think as long as you can provide the infrastructure in a business that caters for growth, is professional, and has all the things they need to reach their career milestones, I think you can attract the right people to your business, or you can go and find them as well.
It is one of those incredible industries where you can literally come straight out of school, and the amount of money that you can earn, as long as you work hard and do it right, is almost infinite.
Absolutely.
Like your destiny's your own.
It's an exciting business. It really is. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with properties, and if you're inclined that way, if you are a people's person, it's a great business to get into because you decide your destiny at the end of the day in terms of how you work, how hard you work in this business, how good you can become in this role. It does take time to build a brand, quicker these days through the use of social media and the marketing tools we have today versus when I first started 20 years ago. But you can certainly fast track that. There's no question about it. So it is exciting. And I look at our property management business today. We employ now close to 200 people in our company. And in our property management business now, someone can start off as a young recruit. And if they want to spend the rest of their life in property management, they can do that with our company and grow along the way and financially be rewarded along the way as well. On the sales side, once again, the world's your oyster. You can really earn as much as you want. It depends how much time you want to put into your business.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I watch really young agents that come into the game and they're a little bit reluctant to pick up the phone. They don't like the cold calling, but they can make videos that hit 100 people a day. And I sort of look at the older ones and say, well, you might be making your 20 calls a day, but this person's actually connecting with 100 people. Might not be as an intimate connection, but they're still reaching 100 people with a bad video.
Yeah.
Wait till they make a good one.
Yeah.
And, so they can teach you a little bit and you can teach them a little bit. Is that one of the beauties of the businesses that you do have, that dynamic range of age?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really finding that balance. Like you said, it's about bringing the two worlds together at the moment. Technology is moving so fast at a rapid rate. What was, brand new 3 months ago isn't anymore. But absolutely, having a range of people within the business, you'll never be able to beat the human approach. And I preach on that all the time. That phone call to phone call or face to face meeting, you can't beat that in building the human connection, because the first part of it is that, do we like each other and trust each other before anything? And if we can get that connection first, then everything else falls into place. But if you can dovetail that in with reaching more people and funneling that in to more connections and then getting face to face, well, naturally, you're going to write more business. So just on that, that's where the future is. You're going to start to see agents now that are really going to be writing a lot more business if they use the right tools effectively. If they use social media effectively, AI effectively, and bring everything into a human connect touch, you're going to start, the 1 million GCI agent everyone harps on about will be 3 or 4 million GCI, because they can do more with less.
Do you think that COVID sped that up? Because you're talking about business efficiency, you're talking about the fact that, I remember sitting with an agent that we both know in the area during COVID at a coffee shop in our 1 hour or allowed out or whatever. And he was literally selling houses via his phone. It was just so efficient now. And you're talking about that's going to make it so much easier and faster. It
certainly did fast track it. There's no question about it. From digital offers that we can send out now versus having to drive out to properties in the middle of the night and countersign and go back and forwards. You can do that all remotely now. The ability to get properties out globally now very, very quickly. I think the acceptance as well of buying remotely has increased significantly as well with the use of video and walkthroughs and so forth, that if, we get a lot of expats coming back in the country, you can service them to a certain point now where they're 99% ready to go. Once they fly in, they'll look at it and then sign the contract, where previously they'd come in, do all their research. So they will need a lot more time as well. So you can fast track that buying process as well.
Yeah.
So, and on the property management side too, the use of video has increased significantly as well. And the tech side on the automation out to customers has changed too.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine it'd be like this when you started?
I didn't. No, I didn't. Like you do an auction, back in the day, and you need 5 contracts, and you're running on an hour and a half between the auctions. So you've got to do 5 paper contracts and so forth, and you've got to get them to both parties. You've got to get them to solicitors. Where now it's just one digital copy. You press the button, it goes out to all 5 parties. In 5 minutes you've completed the documentation, and you relax going to your next auction or open for inspection. So you never imagined it would be this streamlined before. But COVID we had to, we were forced to.
Yeah, it sped it up, didn't it?
Yeah, and the auctions as well, the fact that you can bid
they said
off-site.
No one will ever come to an auction that's not in the front yard. I remember them saying that all the time.
I did an auction for Michael, who heads up Whitehorse, was in Mitcham, and it was a twilight auction, 7 o'clock. It was last summer, and it was packed. There would have been at least 150 people in the crowd, and the 3 bidders were all remote.
All right.
But you know what happened, right? So after that, Michael got a lot of calls, and he said, we love the auction, great result, come and see us. So he generated a lot of business and other sellers through that auction, even though there was no live bidders on site. They liked the fact that we had the technology to cater for people that are off-site. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, it is incredible that you can spend $1 million over essentially a version of Zoom.
Yeah.
And it's all good.
That's right, yeah.
Like it works.
Exactly.
It's
It
incredible.
does.
We'll wrap this up. So for those watching who are either thinking about getting into real estate, are in real estate, and maybe they're in a bit of a funk, because there has been a bit of a funk along the industry. There are people who are struggling a little bit more than they used to. They're a bit lost. And a big push that I've been in is trying to get people out of that funk. I interviewed a guy called Dale Sidebottom, who's coming up in the interview after yours, about having more fun at work, not taking it easy, but working more efficiently and looking after yourself so you can do more. What's your tip to ongoing success? Because I've got an inkling that you're a pretty busy guy, because you're pretty hard to catch sometimes.
Yeah. Look, it certainly is. I think stick to the basics, like do the basics well. Like when I'm dealing with agents that are wanting to get cut through, or they've got into a bit of a rut and trying to find their way again, I always come back to the basics and say, let's just do the basics well first. So fundamentally, our job isn't that complicated. We have to find a seller that wants to sell their house, and then we've got to match him with someone that wants to buy it. So fundamentally, there's 2 key areas to our business, right? So let's just work on those, and let's stay at the basics at all times and keep it as human as possible at all times. So when we get back to the basics and do them well, then you will succeed. So we've got to make a certain amount of phone calls to prospective sellers. So let's do that at the right time. We've got to manage buyers effectively to make sure they're making offers. So let's do that well. And then we've got to work with our vendors along the way to ensure they're comfortable with the process. So if we can stay in those arenas effectively and do them well, then it will propel you forward. Then everything else is the add-on, the marketing, the social, everything else is an add-on to those basics. Yeah. And when I look at some of our top producers that are writing $2 or $3 million in GCI, they're really good at the basics day in, day out, year after year after year. They might have companies now taking care of their social, their marketing and those types of things, but they fundamentally don't move away from the basics of this business day in, day out. Yep. And the results are there to prove. They're the proofs in the pudding. Outside of that, I think we refer to ourselves as corporate athletes. So just to ensure that we win the morning, that we exercise right, our mind's right, we're reading the right things in the morning, and we're getting ourselves right for the start of the day to ensure that we win the morning, we'll win the day. So we're really big on that and ensure that our fitness is up and, healthy body, healthy mind, and big believers of that. Same with the things that we did in the offices. We've got a lot of health foods now in the offices, like there's muesli bars, there's fruits, there's yogurts, there's waters for the staff to keep them having the right intake of their food throughout the day so they don't have those sugar spikes. We've just appointed a people and wellness person in our company that their full responsibility is just to ensure the wellness culture and the people. And that's been a great addition to our team recently as well.
That's amazing, because when you think about real estate, or if you think about it in the day, I mean, people almost look at day traders and stock traders and real estate agents being just a version of that, and it's just the grind and the grind and the grind. You have not once come in this interview with a transactional thought or a transactional push at all. It's just not that game anymore.
It isn't. It certainly isn't. Real estate's evolved. It is professional. We're getting good training now. There's good trainers. Most principals have good training programs in the company like we do. So it's about fostering that talent and taking that talent through and identifying them and growing them. Because if I look at my customers are not only my external customers, but also the team that we run. So we've got to ensure that we provide every avenue possible where they, first of all, feel safe and comfortable within the environment, but giving them all the resources they need to prosper and get fulfillment out of their career. And that doesn't always mean the top sales agent or the top property manager, but we've got, a lot of our companies made up of great administrators, our customer service team, my executive team that execute a lot of our projects and strategies. It's made up of those people, our part-timers, our casuals, but they also they're in a certain stage of their life and what they want to create. So someone that's a part-time administrator is just as valuable as our $3 million GCI writer because they do a great job in their stage of their life. Yep. So it's about embracing an entire company as one, where everyone understands the significance of everyone's roles, and we move together as one company, regardless of our geographical office locations. We're still under the banner of the Eastern Group. And that's really been our success, is about ensuring that we've got the right infrastructure for what they need at each part of their growth stage.
Yeah, amazing. Spiro, I've taken up enough of your time. It's been awesome to get your thoughts, and thank you so much for joining us.
You're
Plenty
welcome.
of gold there. Thanks for joining us on
Pleasure.
Streaming to Action.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch you soon.
Excellent. Thank you.